I lent my cousin $8,500 to save his business. He hugged me and said I saved his life. 3 weeks later, I found out he used it to buy his girlfriend a trip to Europe. I confronted him at a barbecue and he laughed in front of everyone. "Don't lend what you can't afford to lose," he said. That night, I started making calls to people he never thought I'd talk to. I used to think blood meant something. Family meant something. I believed that if you grew up together, shared holidays, and scraped knees, then even when life pulled you in different directions, there was always a line you didn't cross. Turns out I was wrong. Jason and I grew up a few blocks apart in Springfield, Missouri. Our moms were sisters and tight as hell, which meant we were always around each other. Backyard wrestling, school bus rides, dumb pranks, even a brief stint as a garage band when we were 15. We weren't just cousins. We were close. Even when we got older and drifted, we kept in touch. I stayed local, worked warehouse jobs, saved what I could. He got a business degree and opened a coffee shop near the square, the Bearded Bean. It was trendy, overpriced, and somehow always about to blow up. I always thought he was full of it, but he was family. And when he came to me one night last fall looking like hell, I listened. He showed up at my place around 8 p.m., said he just needed to talk. Sat at my kitchen table with his head in his hands, rambling about the shop going under. Said COVID hit him hard, foot traffic was down, and his landlord was threatening eviction. "I just need help to float it for a few weeks," he said. 8, maybe 9 grand. "I can pay you back in a month, 6 weeks max. With interest if you want." He was shaking, red-eyed. Said he'd already borrowed from Uncle Marty and couldn't go back to him again. Said Roxy didn't know how bad things were. He looked desperate. I should have thought it through. I should have made him sign something. But instead I said, "I've got $8,500. It's yours." He got up and hugged me. Really hugged me. "Man, you just saved my life. I swear to God. That money was my food truck fund. I'd been saving for years, skipping vacations, buying used tires instead of new, working overtime whenever I could. But I told myself it was fine. He needed it more than I did. And he was family." 3 weeks later, I got a text from my sister. Just a picture and a question mark. It was Jason, in front of the damn Eiffel Tower, arms around Roxy, both of them dressed like they were about to walk a red carpet. Caption: "Surprise trip from my love. Paris, baby." I stared at it for a long time. Then I scrolled through her feed. Rome, Barcelona, a rooftop dinner in Florence. She posted everything. Spa days, new bags, luxury shopping, a wine tour in Tuscany. She even posted a reel of Jason giving her a necklace from some high-end boutique. I waited for him to call me, to say it wasn't what it looked like, that the trip was comped or maybe Roxy paid. Some lie. Any lie. Nothing. I showed up at our family barbecue 3 days later. I didn't tell anyone what I knew. I just waited. Jason was in his usual element, grilling, laughing too loud, beer in hand, acting like he was some kind of king. I pulled him aside. "Hey, man, can we talk?" He gave me that dumb smirk. "Later. Grab a burger." "No. I need to ask you something." He sighed, then looked around like I was bothering him. "What? Did you use my money to pay for that trip?" He stared at me. Then he laughed. Not a nervous laugh. Not a guilty laugh. A loud, mocking laugh. "You serious right now?" "Yeah, I'm serious. You said you needed that money to save your business." He took a sip of his beer and said, loud enough for everyone nearby to hear, "Don't lend what you can't afford to lose." People turned. My aunt looked confused. My cousin Jared straight up laughed. Then Jason added, "You work in a warehouse, man. What did you think that was an investment? Come on." They all laughed. I walked away before I lost it. I got in my truck and sat there for 20 minutes, staring at the steering wheel. Then I went home. Didn't turn on the TV. Didn't eat dinner. I just opened my laptop and started making calls. Emails. Facebook messages. Jason didn't know I still talked to a guy named Anthony who used to work with him at the Bean. They had a falling out over money and Jason told everyone Anthony had anger issues. Turns out Anthony had receipts. He sent me screenshots of Jason using the business account to pay for dinners, hotel rooms, even a $1,200 charge at a Louis Vuitton store. I found out the shop was 3 months behind on rent. The staff hadn't been paid on time in weeks. And the kicker? Roxy wasn't just his girlfriend. She was listed as a silent partner in the LLC and had been since before he even opened the place. He'd lied to me from the start, and I wasn't going to take it sitting down. I didn't sleep that night. I kept reading through messages and digging deeper. Everything I found made me angrier. Jason didn't just lie. He built his little empire on lies. The worst part? He was sloppy about it. Cocky, like he thought no one would ever look into it. I made a list. First name on it? Jenna, his ex-girlfriend. They dated before Roxy, back when he was still building his dream. She helped with the first draft of his business plan, co-signed his first lease. She got dumped 2 months after the shop opened. I found her on Facebook. She remembered everything. "Oh, you're asking about Jason now," she said. "You should talk to Damien. He used to supply him beans and equipment." Jason stiffed him on a $3,000 invoice. Second name, Damien. Third, Claire, the landlord of the coffee shop. She hated him. Said he kept promising rent next week, always with some excuse. Every person I talked to had a story. All of them angry. All of them still owed something. I didn't just want revenge. I wanted justice. But more than that, I wanted Jason to feel what I felt that day at the barbecue, humiliated, betrayed, powerless. So I started planning. I couldn't sue him. We had no contract. The money was gone. I didn't want it back anymore. I wanted everyone to know who he really was. I contacted the local newspaper anonymously and gave them everything: receipts, testimonies, screenshots. I told them I was a former employee. The story ran under the title, "Local Coffee Shop Owner Accused of Fraud, Wage Theft, and Misuse of Business Funds." It exploded. Claire filed eviction paperwork the same week. 2 of his baristas walked out mid-shift and posted screenshots of late paychecks and Jason's drunken texts asking them to cover until he got back from Europe. But I wasn't done. I called in a favor from my buddy Darren, who worked in small business licensing for the city. Told him everything I knew. He flagged Jason's business for review. Turned out Jason never renewed half his permits. Health inspection showed up. He failed hard. He was fined. Hard. Customers vanished. Reviews tanked. Yelp and Google flooded with 1-star ratings from real people he'd wronged. Even Roxy bailed when her name got mentioned in the article. She deleted all her social media and moved back in with her mom in Tulsa. I never said a word to Jason through all of it. Not until he showed up at my place. He came by around 10 p.m. I saw his car lights in the driveway and thought maybe it was a delivery. But then there was pounding on the door. I opened it and saw him, Jason. Standing there with his hoodie up, face red, jaw tight. "You think this is funny?" he snapped. "You think this makes you a hero or something?" I didn't say anything. I just leaned against the frame and waited. "You ruined my life," he hissed. "You went behind my back and fed lies to the papers? Are you out of your mind?" "Everything in that article is true," I said. He stepped forward like he wanted to do something. I didn't move. Just stared at him. "You don't get to pretend you're the victim here," I said. "You begged me for help, then laughed in my face. You lied to everyone. This is on you. You don't know what it's like to have pressure, people depending on you, the rent, the bills. You had money for Europe." He went quiet. "I gave you a chance to come clean. You laughed at me. You humiliated me in front of our whole family." He took a deep breath and looked away. "I lost everything. The bean's closing. Roxy's gone. My accounts are frozen. You're lucky no one's pressing charges." Then he did something I didn't expect. He started to cry. Not loud sobs. Just quiet, broken little gasps. It almost got to me. Almost. "You think I meant for this to happen?" he said. "I just wanted people to think I made it. I wanted to look like I had something." I didn't respond. He stood there another minute, then turned and left. But that wasn't the end of it. A week later, Uncle Marty called me. Said Jason was trying to borrow money again, this time from him. Told him he was going to restart, maybe launch a podcast about entrepreneurship. Then I found out he'd started a GoFundMe. Said he was a victim of cancel culture and asked for donations to rebuild his business after lies and smears. He raised $600 in a few days. I watched it like a hawk. I contacted every single donor anonymously. I showed them proof, screenshots, articles, links. Half of them pulled their donations. But one of them had a bigger idea. His name was Vince. He ran a local podcast network. Said he loved the story, wanted to interview me anonymously. Said the coffee shop scam was something people needed to hear about. I agreed. 2 weeks later, the brood lie, the Jason story dropped. It hit number 12 on the local charts. Got shared across small business forums, Facebook groups, even LinkedIn. Jason's name became poison. But that wasn't the final twist. The IRS showed up. Turns out when people get loud enough, things move. And Jason, he hadn't filed business taxes in over 2 years. They froze what was left of his accounts, seized the shop's equipment, liquidated his inventory. I drove by the Bean a month later. The windows were papered over. A for lease sign hung crooked on the front door. Jason had disappeared. It was 3 months later when I saw him again. I was grabbing gas at a cutie off Glenstone Avenue. It was late, cold. I was heading home after a double shift when I noticed a guy at the next pump, head down, hoodie up. It was Jason. His car was different. Older. Rusty. He looked thinner, worn out. He didn't notice me at first. But when he looked up and saw me, he froze. We just stared at each other. Then he gave me the sad, bitter little smile and said, "You happy now?" I didn't answer. He nodded like he expected that. "I lost everything, man. You didn't just ruin the business. You killed my name. I can't get hired anywhere. I'm delivering for DoorDash and living in a weekly motel off Sunshine." "You brought that on yourself," I said. "You could have told the truth. You could have made it right." "You wanted revenge," he said. "No," I said. "I wanted respect. You pissed on me in front of our family. You made me look like a fool. I helped you and you laughed at me." He shook his head like it didn't matter anymore. "You think any of them like you now? They talk about you behind your back. Think you're vindictive, cold." I didn't respond, because maybe that was true. Maybe I'd gone too far. But I remembered sitting in that truck after the barbecue, holding back tears, wondering how someone I loved could humiliate me like that. And I remembered every sleepless night after, digging up dirt on someone I used to call my brother. I didn't enjoy destroying him, but I did it because no one else would. We never spoke again after that night. But I heard things. I heard he left Missouri, tried starting fresh in Arizona, changed his name on Facebook, started telling people he used to own a successful chain of coffee shops back in the Midwest. Still lying. And me? I finally bought that food truck. Big Dave's Barbecue Bites. Parked it right where the Bean used to be. People laughed when they saw the sign. But nobody laughs when they taste my ribs. And every time I open for business, I remember, some debts don't get paid in cash. Some get paid in silence. In ruined reputations. In cold gas station stares. That $8,500? Best investment I ever made.